Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyhi wa mustafa Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. Brothers and sisters and dear viewers everywhere, I would like to welcome you to another live edition of your program Ask Huda. Our phone numbers in the beginning with area code 002023855249248. The last digit is 8, not 9. And the other number is area code 0020125008679. And the email address is ask@huda.tv. The Facebook page is Dr. Muhammad Salah Official. Be more than happy to start welcoming your calls and concerns. Meanwhile, inshallah, I'd like to answer some of the questions which I received on my page. The first question is from Sister Faiza Othman. She says, do we Muslims believe that Adam and Hawa first lived in Jannah and not paradise on earth? Someone believes that Adam was not the first human being, merely the first prophet. He bases his belief on scientific discovery of skulls that date several years before Adam's existence. Well, in order to answer this question, we look into the Quran and what Allah the Almighty says in this regard. Obviously, the story of the creation, how Allah created Adam and Eve, is listed in more than one position in the Quran. The most obvious and the most famous one is in Surah Al-Baqarah, in ayah number 30 of the second chapter of the Quran. Allah the Almighty says, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Remember when your Lord said to the angels, I'm going to appoint a vicegerent, or a khalifa in a sense that it means a human being who would have an offspring to succeed each other generations after generations, from khalafa yakhlufu khalifatan. قالوا, the angels said, أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. The angels said, why would you create somebody on earth who would cause corruption and mischief on earth and would cause plenty of bloodshed, while we are constantly praising you and glorifying your name? So Allah the Almighty says, I know what you know not. إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. These two ayat were the beginning of the story of the creation of Adam, and afterward there are other ayat in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for instance, in Surah Al-A'raf 189, هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. It is He who created you from a single being, from a single soul. The word nafs means soul or human being. وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا. Then from that single being, Allah the Almighty created from it its spouse, in order to find repose in her. And this part refers to the very first creation, how Allah created Adam alayhi salam. Then from his side He created for him his wife. وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا, life mate or spouse, to recline into her, to find repose in her. And in the beginning of Surah An-Nisa, Allah the Almighty says, يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. O mankind, اتقوا ربكم, fear the Lord who created you, all of you, from نفس واحدة, from a single being, from a single human being. وَخَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا, and from her, from that soul, from that nafs, from that being, He created its mate, life mate or spouse. created Eve from the soul or the being of Adam alayhi salam. He created Eve, Hawa. Then وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً. Then he spread out of them their offspring, many men and women. Okay, so there are 3 references so far that we refer to from the Quran, indicating that the very first human being was Adam alayhi salam, and the second was Eve, whereupon Allah created Eve from Adam's side, or from his rib. Also in the hadith, the sound hadith, which talks about ash-shafa'ah, the great intercession on the day of judgment, when all mankind, after standing for so long, and when the sun draws very near and people start suffering and people start wishing even to go to hell, to be dismissed from that horrible day, even if they will be sent to hell because of the horror of the day, because of the extreme suffering that mankind from the very first to the very last will be in on the day. So they will go to Adam alayhi salam. They will go to Adam alayhi salam, and they will say, Ya Adam, Anta Abul Bashar. You are the father of humanity. خَلَقَكَ اللَّهُ بِيَدَيْهِ. Allah created you by His own hands, and He breathed the soul into you. So the hadith goes on and indicates that all human beings acknowledge the fact that Adam, peace be upon him, was the first human being, and he was also the first prophet. As far as which paradise that he and his wife were in, we'll answer this after this call, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Abdul Salam from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have 3 questions.
Go ahead.
I have 3 questions.
Go ahead, Sister Abdul Salam.
Okay. I want to know if I'm taking contraceptive pills, and my monthly cycle is fluctuating a lot. So, and if I waited like the whole day, nothing came, and I took a bath and I prayed, do I have to pay back the prayers for the whole day? And my second question is, if I fasted Ramadan fasting, let's say between this period, and let's say the next day, and the period came back, so do I have to pay back the fasting? And my third question is, I want to know could you please say something about this verse that says Al-Rijalu Qawwamuna 'ala Nisa? I want to know the explanation of the verse.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all, with regards to your fluctuating period, once you understand that it is the same kind of bleeding that you experience during your monthly period, then you should stop praying, and you should stop the rest of the things which is not allowed to do while being menstruated, such as fasting, having an intimate relationship with your spouse, touching the Quran with bare hands, or entering the masjid, or performing tawaf. Obviously, we said number 1, you're not allowed to pray during this time. Any prayer that you missed because of the period, you're not required to make up. When the period is over, or whenever you assume that you are in a state of tahara and the bleeding has stopped and you perform ghusl, which prayer do you make up? The prayer which is due, or the prayer which you experience the tahara, the purification, during its time? I mean, if your purification happened half hour before sunset, then you must pray Asr, because you experienced tahara before sunset. So in this case, you should perform ghusl and pray Asr. If you experience tahara at Isha time and before Fajr, many of the scholars said the 2 prayers which share the time whenever we combine them. So in this case, you will pray Maghrib and Isha. Likewise, many of the scholars say the 2 prayers which share the daytime prayer, I mean Dhuhr and Asr. So if you experience the purification and the period stops before sunset, then you gotta pray Dhuhr and Asr. Okay, barakallah feek. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Bilqais from the KSA.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Ask Huda.
Assalamu alaikum, Ya Shaykh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, I have 3 questions, Sheikh.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, one is, first of all, I thank you very much for sharing your Islamic knowledge with all of us, and you are one of the very popular Sheikh on Huda TV, and thank you, Sheikh.
Thank you, Sister. Jazakillah khairan. It's my pleasure.
Okay. And I have a question. First of all, when a person she or he prays, and during the prayer, salah, maybe accidentally they leak, urine or passing the wind, they could not control. So do they have to make a wudu again, stop the prayer, wudu again? If it's by accident, but sometimes some people, they don't want to hold it, because it's caused health problems for them. So they should stop the prayer, just go and, use the bathroom or pass the wind and then start the prayer and wudu again. Or Okay. Number 2 is, for a woman, some women, they don't want to wash their hair every day. So if they are married, do they wash their hair every day because of the, when they have a relationship with a husband? Because you have to pray 5 times a day. But do they have to wash their hair? Because sometimes they have a long hair and it's difficult to manage and nobody wants to wash their hair. So how do they manage 5-time prayers? Okay. And number 3 is, for people like me, non-Arabic background, I want to start learning Arabic, and with a sheikh like you, where do I go and find out? And would it be very expensive, or how?
Okay.
Because I cannot find any female sheikh. So that's all. Thank you very much for your help.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Sister Bilqais. Wa jazakum. Okay. Allow me to resume answering Sister Abdul Salam's questions. The second question was with regards to the fasting and making up the missed days of fasting due to this kind of circumstances, the fluctuating period. If a woman is fasting, a voluntary fasting or a mandatory fasting, such as a Ramadan, or making up the missed days of Ramadan, and any time before sunset of the day, she starts her period, then the fasting of that day is void. Obviously, nothing is wasted. Any minute that you spend in obedience, Allah the Almighty will reward you for it. Not to assume that, because, it was only 5 minutes before sunset, then my fasting is void because my period started. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. Allah is not going to waste your word. But as far as your duty towards Allah, when it comes to the fard, the mandatory fasting, you're required to have full tahara. So, if your period started before sunset, that day has to be made up. That day has to be made up. Anytime during the day, whenever a woman experiences her menses, she must make up that day whenever she's in a state of purity. Her third question is concerning one of the verses of Surah An-Nisa. Nisa chapter number 4, in which Allah the Almighty says, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله به بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. Let's display the ayah. Okay. الرجال قوامون. The word قوامون refers to al-qiwama. It doesn't mean superiority, rather means responsibility and guardianship. So men are given the guardianship over women. Why? Because Allah equipped men with some qualities that did not equip women with. In addition to وَبِمَا أَنفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ, and also because of the financial responsibility which is laid upon them. It is men who are supposed to provide for the family. Then look at the next segment. فَالصَّالِحَاتُ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ بِمَا حَفِظَ اللَّهُ. So Allah Almighty admired the wives who are righteous, obedient to Allah, obedient to their husbands. حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ. They guard their chastity in the absence of their husbands. They obey Allah بِمَا حَفِظَ اللَّهُ. So the ayah admires both, and it teaches that when it comes to leadership at home, there must be a leader and there must be a follower. So the man is in charge. In Surah Al-Tahrim, in ayah number 6, Allah the Almighty says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَ. He commanded the believing men to guard themselves and their family members against the fire of hell. It is their responsibility. It is the responsibility of the man to work, to earn his provision, to put bread on the table, to provide the children with the adequate education, to give them the proper treatment whenever any of them is sick, to give the kind treatment to the wife and to the children. And the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ إِثْمًا أَنْ يُضَيِّعَ مَنْ يَعُولُ. It is such a great sin to waste those who are under your guardianship, to waste them in a sense that you don't work hard, eventually you don't earn, you live on a welfare while you're capable to work, so that you put your family members and your children in a situation where they are in need, or waste their future. Such a big sin. The same is not required from the woman in ordinary cases, because it is solely the responsibility of the man to provide for the woman and to provide for the family. That's why it is not permissible for the husband to pay his due zakat to his wife nor to his children, while the wife may pay her zakat dues to her husband if he is poor. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Abdullah. Welcome to Ask Huda.
Wa alaikum salam, Sheikh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sheikh, I have one question, and it's about my menses. I'm in my 40s now, and the menses has changed a lot. Before it was 7 days of bleeding, but now in the 40s, it is the first 3 days, it is brown spotting. And then the next 3 days, it is the flow of blood. And then the last 2 days, it's again brown spotting. So my question is, I want to know when there is brown spotting, am I allowed to pray?
Okay. Thank you, Sister Abdullah. Okay, I would request Sister Bulqais to go ahead and answer Abdullah's question first, because the audience have heard the question, so I don't have to repeat the question again. As long as the spotting which precedes the actual period is connected to it, and within the regular time, then it should be treated as the regular monthly period, which will stop you from praying and fasting and so on. Okay? As long as it coincides the regular time of the period, and it is connected to the actual period. It's not like in the middle of the month or a few days off, and it's just a few spotting here and there and it stops. No. It is the introduction of the period, so it is actually part of the period. Sister Bilqais from the KSA asked about what we call it urine incontinence, if it is true, because many people confuse the issues. Many people in cold weather or due to excessive work, they may lose control, and after passing urine, they may experience a drop or two leaking a few minutes later. That's not called urine incontinence, because this is not a consistent and a constant medical condition. Rather, it is something that happens occasionally, and due to the changes of the weather, due to an extreme cold weather, due to an excessive hard work. Okay, so it's something that you can overcome it, and if it happens, you can simply, or what you need to do is get off the prayer, wash your private. That's called istinja, because there is a leakage and the urine is impure, and wash the spot which was soiled with the urine drop of your clothes or underclothes, then make wudu and pray again. Likewise, when it comes to passing wind, when sometimes you have eaten something, beans or whatever, and you have flatulence, so as a result of that you could not resist the urge of passing wind, then you must leave the prayer. You're not allowed to pray after passing wind or doing anything that breaks your wudu whatsoever. The other medical condition has a different ruling, which I will discuss after this call, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Hawa from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, Sheikh.
Good evening, Sister Hawa.
Sheikh, I have one question.
Yeah?
I don't know, is there any dua or what a woman is expected to do if she confirms that she's pregnant? And apart from that, during the pregnancy period, is there any dua or any do's and don'ts?
Okay.
Thank you, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazakum barakallahu fiki, Sister Hawa. Okay. I want to go back to answering Sister Bilqis' question about what if in the prayer that somebody drops some urine drops or breaks wind accidentally. The other case which is diagnosed by a physician as medical condition called urine incontinence. The person after a prostate surgery or after certain operations or due to aging or due to adverse effect of some medications, they start losing control over the urination. So basically the sphincter is loose and they can just simply pass urine anytime even though they don't want to. In most cases, many of these people have to wear an adult diaper. Okay? What happens in this condition? It's constant. In this condition, Allah the Almighty delivers ease whenever there is a hardship. The general ruling is Allah does not accept any prayer without purification, without tahara, without wudu. The sister may have accidentally used the word ghusl instead of wudu, because if you pass urine, if you break wind, you're not required to perform ghusl. You can only perform wudu. This is what is required, ablution. Al-ghusl is required to lift the major impurity, sexual discharge, sexual intercourse, wet dreams, after the period, after the monthly cycle, after the postpartum bleeding is over. Then this is these are some of the acts which require ghusl, washing the entire body from head to toe with the intention of removing the major impurity. But simply passing wind, passing urine will be sufficient to perform wudu. So with this medical condition, the Shara says, whenever it is the time for the prayer, any prayer has entered its time, then you perform wudu. And you pray with this condition, that even though while you're praying you're still dripping urine, or you have this bowel movement constant, you cannot stop it. You break in wind, you make wudu once the prayer has entered its time, and you start praying all the nawafil before the prayer and the fard prayer itself and all the relating nawafil after with the same wudu, without any need to make a new wudu every time you feel that you have dropped a few drops of urine or passed some wind. Okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Sue from Bahrain.
Yes, I called you. Yes, I called you 2 days back, and I spoke to you.
Okay.
And I told you that I've lost my husband and about the photograph.
About?
And I just wanted to know that what about the soft toys, the teddy bears, soft toys?
Okay.
Should we keep them in a little box or something, or we can keep them in our bedroom?
Okay, you mean that the toys for the toddlers or for the babies, for the children, صح?
Yeah, the soft toys and the gift which has been presented by him, like it's a memory. Like if I keep them in my room or something like that, then they say the angels don't come.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Sister Sue. Okay. Second question from Sister Bilqais, KSA. You know, she mentioned, which makes it very clear that she comprehends the fact that ghusl is required upon having an intimate relationship with one's spouse. And I mean with the intimate relationship, either the complete sexual intercourse or with an intimate relationship, even without a sexual intercourse, but it resulted in sexual discharge, okay, an external stimulation. So that requires ghusl. Women with long hair, women who wear or have a hair treatment to silken their hair, to soften their hair, to straighten their hair, this kind of protein is the enemy of water. So their hairdresser would say, make sure that you only shower once a week, the maximum. And if you can make sure that when you shower you wear a hair cap, a head cap, make sure that the water will not touch your hair, because that would ruin your hairstyle and would ruin the treatment. That doesn't count. If you perform ghusl and your hair is loose, not in braids, it must be washed, and the water should cover and overflow over the rest of your body, including the hair. Okay? Barakallahu fiki. Salama from the case. Say assalamu alaikum.
Salam from Riyadh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh, how are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
Alhamdulillah. Sheikh, I thank you and I thank God too for every presenter in Huda TV, mashallah. Very good. It's very
thank
excellent.
You, sister.
God will reward each one worker in Huda TV. Wallah.
Ameen.
Okay. Sheikh, I have 3 or even 4 questions, if I can remember. One is, I stay behind a masjid, and sometimes when they are praying, I pray with them. So I want to know whether my prayer is valid or not. And then my second question, I learned that a poor person is not allowed to borrow money and make Hajj. And then, but what of if one asks someone who is rich to help her in performing Hajj? And then my third question, is that, Sheikh, I have this one is just a huge problem. Like if one has your husband, your father, and your mother, and you get the chance to send only one to Hajj. So, Sheikh, can you please help me in which one can I send? Maybe I need help in that.
Have you performed Hajj first?
No, inshallah, but inshallah, I will perform. I said to Allah, I will perform.
Okay, then go ahead and do your Hajj first, then we'll think about whether your dad, mom, or your husband. But you gotta do your Hajj first.
I take it like if I will go, then I will go with that person.
Okay, with that person. Okay. Okay. I'm glad I asked. And thank you, sister. Okay, we're going to take a short break and we'll be back inshallah in a few minutes. Please stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Our phone number is area code 002-01125-00869. I'm sorry, that number is not working currently. Okay, the other number is area code 002-01125-00869. The number area code 002-01125-00869. Okay, barakallahu fikum. Sister Asia from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have two questions.
Go ahead,
Question
sister.
number one is this from Sunnah, that before, I mean, at the marriage time, before the husband and wife they meet with each other, we are supposed to pray Mithil Salah 2 rakat together. Is this from Sunnah? And if not, so what is from the Sunnah? And question number two.
You mean, Sister Asya, are you referring to the 2 rakats that they pray in Jama'ah before consummating the marriage?
No, yeah, together. Maybe husband is leading and she is following, or maybe separately, but before and meeting together, they have to pray. Everybody says that they have to pray 2 rakat nifil namaz.
Okay, I got your question.
And it is from Sunnah. Whether this is right or wrong, because I have just read the dua that Prophet ﷺ had mentioned in the dua book, but I have not come across that, so better to ask you.
Sure. And
question number two is Prophet ﷺ used to drink the date with the milk together. Is this from Sunnah or not?
To eat dates and drink milk.
He used to cook the date in the milk and drink that drink. Is this from Sunnah?
Okay.
He used to drink or not? Is this correct or not?
Okay. Thank you, Sister Asya. Sister Bilqais inquired before the break about an institute or a website that she can join. She can join to learn Arabic. We used to have this, and I would just have to double check whether it's still active or not. The Arabic course on Huda Academy. And also we used to provide private tutors. Obviously there are some people who are available to do that, but it is not, feasible for every one of us to give private lessons. It's kind of hard with the kind of responsibility that we're managing for the time being. So inshallah we'll double check with the management, see what is going on with Huda Academy, and we'll announce. Otherwise there are many websites who teach online. And since you're living in the KSA, I personally believe that the best way to learn Arabic is to dialogue with the people who speak the language. Take advantage, go to attend classes in the nearest center or masjid or da'wah center in your locality. That will benefit you a great deal. If you befriend any of the local people who speak Arabic, that also will help you a great deal. Language is a matter of communication. Hearing the phonetics, listening to the pronunciation, that would help you the best way, better than just reading in books. But also the academic way is also required, because the main purpose of learning Arabic is to understand the Quran, the same way that Allah the Almighty wanted us to understand it. May Allah make it easy for you to comprehend His deen, and for us. Sister Hawa from Nigeria, mashallah, she seems pregnant. May Allah make it easy for you and grant you a goodly offspring, healthy and righteous. Allahumma ameen. Is there a special dua? When you say a special, you mean prescribed dua to be recited during pregnancy? There is no prescribed dua that the Prophet ﷺ said you say this dua during pregnancy. I know that if you type online or Google, you will find a lot of people suggesting a lot of dua. There is a difference between a prescribed dua to be recited during pregnancy and saying you can quote any of the supplications of the Quran, that may Allah grant you a goodly offspring, may Allah keep them healthy, may Allah make them righteous, and you can phrase this in your own mother tongue. It doesn't have to be in Arabic. I find the best dua in this regard is the one which is listed by the end of Surah Al-Furqan among the traits of the servants of the most beneficent. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. You take that quote and you take from it the part which says رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Very magnificent, very magnificent. Also recite Quran. You can place your palm over your belly and recite Surah Al-Fatiha as means of ruqya for yourself and for your baby. Recite Ayat Al-Kursi, recite Al-Mu'awwidhat on a regular basis. That would help a great deal, inshaAllah. May Allah grant you a goodly offspring, healthy and righteous. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Hamza from Sudan. No problem. Try again, Brother Hamza. At least you got the number. You got it right. Sister Sue from Bahrain. Her question today is about the teddy bears and those soft toys, which people keep at home. We said before, for the babies playing with toys, it is permissible. But some of the scholars said the kind of toys which the Prophet ﷺ approved for Aisha are not those toys, the toys which look like living beings, like living bears or rabbits or real dolls, those which look like a real baby. And we have seen, many of that. So they say this is typically imitating the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is not permissible. So if it is missing any of the senses, an ear or an eye, or something like that, it will be incomplete. And if you keep it, it's only for the children, for the babies to play with. When they grow up, there is no need to keep it at home and display them in every corner in your house or in your bedroom, because in this case, the restriction which the Prophet ﷺ listed initially, with regards keeping pictures hanging against the walls or at home, applies here, because there is no need for it. Your baby has grown up already. She's now a teenager, or he is now a grown-up man. There is no need to keep these toys at home and displayed after all. Salama from the case, Sister Salama says that she prays at home behind the Imam in the masjid nearby. Let me take this call first. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Shayma from Egypt, welcome to Ask Huda.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Go ahead, Sister Shayma.
Hello, doctor.
Do me a favor, unmute your TV, please.
May Allah reward you for your efforts as a case of our da'wah. I would like to ask about the ruqya from the real sunnah. As we hear a lot of issues regarding the ruqya and the verses and the chapters from Quran regarding that. What is your advice for anyone who is suspicious of having uncertain issues? And I would like to ask from you and from all the audience a dua for every patient. Thanks a lot for your kindness.
Barakallah feeki. Okay. May Allah bless you and your family and give you and everyone who is sick a quick recovery and healing. Ameen. Okay. For the jama'ah to be valid, the person must either see or hear or both the Imam and the followers. So sometimes I'm far away from the Imam in the Haram. We pray sometimes 1 mile away from the Imam. Yeah? And the prayer still counts as jama'ah. In this case, it is because of the crowd. The rows are extended and connected. They are continuously connected. 500 meters, 700 meters, 1,000 meter length. As long as the rows are connected, this is a valid jama'ah. So even if I don't see the Imam. But to pray at home behind an Imam who is praying in the masjid, and there is a big barrier, a street between you and the Imam, and those are not connected, that doesn't count as jama'ah. Okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Abd al-Rahman from the KSA.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh, I have a question regarding the second marriage. If a husband is happily married for 20 years with 4 children, both girls, boys, wife, there are no health issues, no serious marital problems also, except the usual husband and wife quarrels. The husband is 50 years old and wife is 43 years with grown-up kids. And now the husband decides to go in for a second marriage to support the widows and divorcees he comes across in matrimonial side. So my question is it right at this stage of married life, of their marriage, because it will be disturbed with teenage girls, their children are openly opposing to this marriage.
His children are opposing this marriage?
Sort of.
Okay, what do you mean sort of?
Yeah.
Whose children are opposing this marriage?
No, and even the wife is not particularly keen for this, the wife, the present wife, because there are no serious marriage problems between the spouses.
Okay.
Because since second marriage is an option, not a compulsion in Islam, so how do we deal with this situation?
Okay.
And the husband also agrees that if the husband gives, if the wife is fully 100% gives her consent to the second marriage, then only he will go. But he is quite keen from his side to go in for this marriage. So how do we deal with this situation? Because both of them are pious religious.
MashaAllah, Abdurrahman, I like the way that you present in the question and you're giving me the answer likewise. Meanwhile, like you say, you're calling in to ask a question and you're also saying that second marriage is not compulsory in Islam, it's an option. So basically, second marriage is like the first marriage exactly when it comes to undergoing the 5 ahkam. So yes, it could be compulsory, it could be haram, the extreme ends, and it could be mere permissible, and it could be recommended, and it could be disliked, like the first marriage exactly. So you cannot generalize and say no, it's not compulsory, or it is haram, or it is disliked. It depends. It depends on the condition and the circumstances of every person. But inshallah, I will answer your question. Thank you for calling in and consulting me, and I'm very impressed with the man who is very open and says to his first wife and his family that he's getting married, so he's not hiding like many people. And I'm entirely opposing the idea of getting married again, taking another wife in secret without notifying his own family. This is something I entirely oppose it. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Aisha from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah wa shukrillah.
Sheikh, I have 7 questions. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask that much questions.
We'll see if we have time. Go ahead, say Bismillah and start off.
Okay, my first question, I called last week and it wasn't, I think they didn't get the question. If you forget to do the sah, the one you did before salam, if you forget it, how do you make up for it?
You're talking about sujood sahw, if you forget sujood sahw before salam?
Yes.
Okay. So you're supposed to make up for a forgotten thing in the prayer and pray the 2 prostrations. What happens if you forget the 2 prostrations of forgetfulness?
Yes, and my second question, I want to know if dua istiftah, you can say it in Salat Nafila.
Okay.
And my question, I want to ask if someone can pray Nafila with one tahiyya in between 4 rak'ats and do tahiyya after 2 rak'ats and raise up without salam and do another 2 rak'ats and then just do salam. That is total of 4.
Okay, so your third question is about praying Nafila 4 rak'ats all together.
Yes, all together with just tahiyya in between.
Okay.
Okay, and another question, I want to know if it is okay for someone to say his personal prayers in Salah when he's offering the 5 daily prayers, like, oh Allah, give me this and that, during sujood or during after finish reading his recitation, if it's okay or it's not valid in Islam.
Okay, are you asking about Salatul Haja or asking that if a person can demand whatever in any prayer that he offers, whether it's a mandatory prayer or 2 rak'ah nafilah, can he ask for his demand to be fulfilled in sujood? Is this your question?
In third prayer, when you are praying our Zuhur, Asr, or Maghrib, can you say on personal prayers like, oh Allah, give me this, if you have something in mind that you want to ask Allah, can you say during Salah, maybe in sujood, or do you only say personal prayers in Salat and Nafila?
I got all your questions, Sister Aisha. Okay, inshallah, we'll do my best if we have time to answer them in today's episode. Oh, we only have 2 minutes, sorry. I doubt that we'll get to your questions, but inshallah, you should wait for them, inshallah, next episode on Sunday. So now I want to resume with Sister Salama's questions. The second question is, she heard that some people say that the poor person should not perform Hajj. The statement needs to be rephrased. Allah the Almighty phrased it as follows in the Quran. He said, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا, which means that Hajj is a duty that mankind owe to Allah for those who can afford it. Those who can afford that means financially and physically, they should. If you're poor, then you're not required. But to say you should not, what about if somebody offers you a free ride to take you for Hajj? Enjoy it, and your Hajj is accepted, and the person who invited you will be rewarded. You should not say a poor person should not perform Hajj. This is exceeding the limit. She also says that if she has an access to perform Hajj and she has a choice of sponsoring somebody else to go along with her, a husband or a father or a mother, obviously will exclude the mother's option because she is not a mahram, not because of any other factor. I mean, if I can give my life in service for my mother, I would do that. She's given precedence in my love and respect to my wife, to my children, to myself, to anything else. I don't want anyone to misunderstand my cause. But when it comes to the choice, it's between the husband and the father. In this case, I would say the husband, because you need somebody to assist you, to rely upon, to protect you, to help you, to guide you, okay? And if the father, neither one of whom you're required to support to perform Hajj, neither the husband nor the father, okay? But if I was to pay somebody to go to perform Hajj, if I have some extra amount, and I would choose my father to send him to perform Hajj, but I need somebody to accompany me for Hajj, I would take my husband if he can afford to sponsor him to go with you. And guess what? Inshallah, you will get double reward, the reward for yourself, for your own Hajj, and the reward of whoever that will accompany you to perform Hajj because you supported them financially or you invited them to perform Hajj. Sister Asiya from the case say, the 2 rak'ahs before consummating the marriage is sunnah, and it should be light, and the imam should be the husband, obviously, should lead his wife before consummating the marriage, and should recite the dua after placing his palm over her forehead and say the beautiful dua which we discussed a few times before, Allahumma inni as'aluka khayraha wa khayra ma jabaltaha alayhi, etc. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, so I won't be able to answer the rest of your questions, but inshallah, hopefully Allah will extend our life to meet you guys on Sunday of the next week. Until then, I leave you all in the care of Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the